Hello, welcome in. Just a quick little video. I'm adding in some of the Neocolor 2 water-soluble wax pastel to the color chart. Hope everybody's doing well. Hello to replay crew. So these go on like a crayon, and just a little bit of water dissolves that wax into a watercolor paint. I haven't quite dialed in just how much pigment I need to lay down to get that to cover the entire square, so guess we'll figure it out as we go. Hello there, welcome in. There's never quite enough room on the work table. Always manage to just get my supplies just spread out all over the place, so I'm gonna move to the other side of the chart here. I've got a couple of spaces open still on the other side. Got this particular chart almost all the way filled in, so, and we've got new art supplies coming. Got an update. They should be here by this coming Saturday, so that's kind of exciting. How's everybody doing? Witness, hello. What's new? How's it going? This Prussian blue really lights up when you hit it with a little bit of water. It's almost a turquoise color. Isn't it fun how that just goes from a crayon scribble to paint? Just doing okay. Well, let's see. We got through Monday. Sometimes that's a battle. Try to remember to label these as I go. Came back to this and realized I have a couple of swatches on the other side of this that didn't get labeled, and I have no idea. So now I'll have to make a guess and do a swatch and compare it. Hopefully I can figure it out, but it's one of 7 or 8 tubes of black, so it might take me a second. So I just kind of jumped into this when I started it. Kind of loosely grouped the colors together, but I don't know. I can always look at these things and go, well, I wish I'd gotten the reds all together, and it's probably not critical. But I did leave space so that I could compare the Prussian blue from different companies. So that's all kind of the same color, but you know, each company uses a little bit of a different mixture, so. And this one is ultramarine. Which I really like. Ultramarine is just such a lovely blue. Hey, Maya. Nice to see you. Yeah, I love that kind of turquoise cast to Prussian blue, but there's something sort of dreamy, almost a lilacs. Reminds me of lilacs with the ultramarine blue. Or iris, maybe. It's sort of ethereal. So Maya, I got your email. I sent you a little email back. Sky blue. Oh. See, we gotta watch me, man. I just am not staying on top of it. Now for sky blue. I think, yep. So, Maya, you were probably busy working on your commission. I was talking earlier this week about having made a foray into town and hitting up the local art supply stores, and I picked up several more of the Neocolor 2, and boy, that one didn't want to turn into a wash at all. Anyway, I had a look online at all of the colors in this line, and you know that old feeling of, boy, I've got quite a few, wouldn't it be nice? So I pulled the trigger and ordered all the colors I didn't have and filled it in. So it's coming. It is slated to arrive on Saturday, this Saturday. And I went through, I think it's the company is called Jerry's Artorama. It's over on the East Coast. So the prices were a little bit better than Blick. I'm guessing that Blick probably beats them on some things, and then Jerry's Artorama is probably a better price on some other things. I also found empty half pans with magnets on the bottom. 48 of them for $10. So I ordered a bag of those, which is like, now that I have all my watercolors put into little round plastic containers, but at the rate we go, we're always kind of adding to the collection. So I will have probably now you can laugh at me. I'm going to call it a lifetime supply of half pans coming. It's never a lifetime supply. Just like to think it is for a minute. Anyway, having the magnets on the bottom will be nice. I didn't really care. I just whether they had magnets or not. I was actually looking for just empty half pans, and the regular ones that didn't have a magnet on the bottom, there were fewer in the package and they cost more, so I went with the magnetized ones. And those will fit into my little travel tin travel palette. So yeah. Oh, yeah, it's just got a flat, like, like a refrigerator magnet, those kind of flat ones that just, it's just got a layer of that stuck to the bottom. And so when you put them in your, your tin, they'll stick to it. So right now I just have plain plain ones and was thinking, oh, well, I need to get some magnets to just cut and then stick to the bottom. But that way you can trade them out and they don't go flying when you knock the watercolor tin off your workbench. Ask me how I know they fly. Yeah, here's another new one, light blue. I can't decide if it's... I think it goes on better when I apply it directly and then dilute it, but one thing I noticed about these, they don't work out into a nice diluted wash the way that watercolors, tubed watercolors do, so. But, you know, the advantage is they come in this nifty crayon format, so. I guess it's all a matter of which trade-offs you want to make. Huh. Maya says that she's seen an artist put one of the small super magnets, like the rare earth magnets, I'm assuming, inside the pan and pour paint over it. That way it stays put. My brain immediately sorted that out to think about paint that used an iron oxide as the pigment. Like it would just... It would be like maybe permanently stuck to the magnet. Okay, I may have cracked it. Mix up a little wash over on the palette and... Okay, alright, that'll inform me, I guess. We'll do it. We had one of those kind of days here in Oregon where the weather was a bit stormy, but it would calm down and then it would be stormy for a while, so I find myself a little unsettled on days like that. We're definitely coming into the fall weather patterns here. Oh, that sky blue really has a purple cast to it, doesn't it? Pretty. Maybe I'll try to outsmart myself and label it first. This one's cobalt blue. Murr. Murr. What? Are you telling lies? She got fed 45 minutes ago, so don't believe her. Just, you cannot trust a cat, I'm telling you. What? Interesting how different it is over here versus on the paper. What? sometimes wish I understood Kat. It just seems like she's so interested in having me understand what she's... What? Are there spiders? You're okay. Oh, this cobalt blue is quite brilliant. Yeah, right. I think it might present a challenge if the pigments were anything that was magnetic. That just might live on the magnet forever. Yeah, international cat translator. It's hard though. I don't know. Sometimes I think, oh, sometimes I think my cat says naughty things. So, um, Maya said she thinks she might need some of these Neocolor twos. You might. And if I told you that Caran D'Ache makes colored pencils in the same color range, and I've definitely been eyeballing those. They are they're top of the line. They are expensive. So I was comparing the lists. This one's periwinkle blue. So I was comparing the lists of the colors that were available in the Neocolor format, and then there's also Neocolor 1, which I don't I haven't worked in oil pastels in years. I find them to be kind of big and blobby. I mean, I'm busy enough with the stuff I have, but the Neocolor ones, they come in the same color range, so you can get ochre or periwinkle blue in oil pastel, these wax pastels that are water soluble, and the watercolor pencils. And I think they may also be the same in their regular colored pencil range. So that's always kind of fun because each material works a little bit differently. Anyway, so my thinking is because there are fewer of the Neocolor 2, now I've ordered everything in the range. But there are some other colors in the watercolor pencil that are not Neocolors. So you know what's going to happen in November. I'm gonna start looking at the colored pencil range and then buying the colors that are just only available in the pencil. Did that make sense? I felt like I kind of bumbled my way through that, but it was art supply math is what it was. That's correct. The Neocolor line, as far as what I've seen, is doesn't have as... Oh, well, let me stop and think about it. You know, I can't say that for sure. Maya says she thinks that the Neocolor 1 line is not as I just didn't really look at the Neocolor 1. But when I've looked at the displays at the store, I've noticed the Neocolor 1 box is smaller. The display case is smaller, so I believe you are correct. But one might want to just check the Caran D'Ache website. Uh-oh. Maya said she's fallen into a Posca marker. Yeah. I've heard that there are some other brands that, because I know Posca is pretty spendy. And I'm trying to think, I know Ohuhu did the alcohol markers that people have tested out, and they said that they like those quite a bit more than Copic, and they're way, way less expensive. And I kind of think Ohuhu might make some of the paint markers as well. Okay, light cobalt blue. I guess that works right beside cobalt blue there. So, which colors of... Maya says she has some of the Neocolor 2s, so I just wondered if you... which colors you had. So when I was live streaming on Sunday night, the chat just locked up, and hopefully it'll cooperate tonight. I wondered what colors of the Neocolor 2 you had, which ones you liked. I also splurged and bought a little small tube of quinacridone gold, the Daniel Smith, so I was having fun with that. I used it in a piece last night. Mixed it with some other colors, used it in here. I found once I mixed it, it lost its luminosity a bit. When I used it straight, it keeps that beautiful golden hue, and also used it in the mix here. I thought the Daniel Smith was just straight, just one pigment, but it's a blend of two. It's PO4. I can't hard. Eyes are getting so bad without magnifiers. So it's got an orange and a yellow. So it's not just purely quinacridone. It was a good price point though, and it was on sale, so. What I was looking for was the quinacridone rose, because it's also a really luminous, beautiful color and has a little bit of a different hue to it than what I already had. So one of these days, Carmine. Carmine's going to be kind of pink. I think we're just going to put that down in this corner. Scarlet. Scarlet's going to read more orange, so I'll save that for the next page. I apologize. I know this one is underneath the chat. Oh, that's beautiful, bright pink when you get it wet. Nice. And I apologize that it's under the chat and a little hard to see. I just don't have room without shoving a huge pile of stuff off the end of the workbench here, so just pretty. See, boy, it sure just looks like almost a dull, almost a brick red when you're looking at it, but you get it on the paper, it's a whole other story. So that's why I encourage beginning artists to go ahead and just draw some squares on a paper and start making your own color chart. You get a lot of information about how that material works, what the color looks like on paper. Alrighty, I think we've got one more square over on the other side. And then I know I've had this pad with this it's watercolor paper block, and because I just had a few more squares, and I want to get to the paper underneath so I can get to work on another painting. And so it'll be good to get this kind of wrapped up. I think I'm just going to go with raw umber over in this last little square. There we go. Yeah, that new quinacridone gold is down here. And then I think we will do a pebble sketch on this background that I did last night. Let's see. Yeah, carmine is a very pinky red. And are you thinking of an ermine? E-R-M-I-N-E? And I want to say one of the reds used to be made out of cochineal, which is beetles, but I don't know that it was carmine. That would be some good trivia for me to know, but I don't. At least not tonight. Boy, the brain is funny the older you get. Sometimes there's things you go, yeah, I know that, just not right now. I know, Carmine was was a character on. Remember the show? I don't know. It was on a long time ago, but there was a show called Laverne and Shirley with Penny Marshall, and I can't think of the other actress's name. There was a fellow who came around, and they were roommates, Laverne and Shirley. And there was a fella that every once in a while they needed a date. They needed a boy, and his name was Carmine. So, oh. Yeah, Laverne and Shirley. Alrighty. So the trick on these watercolor blocks is they are sealed with glue all the way around, except for one little spot. And Maya says she likes to use a palette knife for this. I just have a little very thin acrylic ruler that, if I can get it started, we might be able to get this sheet off the block. Oh, it's not gonna do it. All right. I give up. We've got some nice fall colors on this, eh? Yeah, that paper is really compressed, and I can't my eyes are really bleary right now, and I can't see where the paper splits to the next sheet. So I'm just gonna deal with it tomorrow in sunlight. That helps my vision a little bit more. This paper always, it gets pretty stiff, and it reminds me of laundry. If you ever have hung wash out on a line, and you take it off the line and everything's just sort of stiff, and you give it a good snap, and then it's really soft and it smells like sunshine. There we go, it's a little bit smoother. Oh, yeah, I don't know. You might live too northerly to do that, but when I was a kid, a lot of households had a washing machine, but not necessarily a dryer. So we would have clotheslines out, usually in the backyards of places, and you would clip your wet laundry onto this line to dry in the sun, especially in the summertime. And especially the whites would get hung out because the sunshine would bleach them out, like your towels and sheets and kitchen linens. And it seems like it didn't take terribly long, like maybe 2 or 3 hours on a sunny day. I still do that. I don't have a clothesline, but I've got a drying rack that's portable, and it goes out on, just take it out on my deck, and I'll put things like kitchen towels or anything that's cotton out there. And there's this sort of a wonderful smell that it's just fresh air and sunshine, and okay, I get it now, Maya. Exactly. Witness says the right snap was the key. Like if you could take it, like it would come off and it would just be sort of inflexible, not quite as stiff as cardboard, but really stiff. And if you just gave it a good a snap, like you flipped it out with your hands until the towel went snap, it would loosen all the fibers, and then it would be so soft. We're actually prohibited from putting up laundry lines in our yards where I live, which is kind of crazy. So we're supposed to conserve water and electricity and all that stuff, and seems like drying your laundry out in the sunshine was a ecologically sensible thing to do. Anyway, so most of us here just get around that by using one of the portable laundry racks. And some people even have them built into their deck. And then when management gives them a hard time, they say, well, it's not a laundry line, it's a drying rack. Those aren't prohibited. Yep, it's exactly what it means. We have a lot of goofy rules where I live. But one of the goofy rules is that you have to be 55 or older to live here. And the last, probably 15 years of apartments before I moved into my place here, the last place I lived, the woman had a 3-year-old right next door. And so, and this kid had lungs. And, it's kind of tough for kids. They don't have all of their words and their emotions are all over the place. And sometimes little kids scream their way through whatever they're trying to communicate, whatever they're trying to tell the world. And that pitch that little kids get, it is... I don't have kids. I never parented a child, so I never really got used to hearing that kind of piercing scream. And that kid would just let it rip. And her mother was a single parent, not doing a terrific job, really. And she would just let the little girl just scream and scream and scream and scream. So when I had a chance to move into a 55 plus park where there were no children and no parents who were... I'm trying to be nice, but you guys know. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and the apartment I had before that one was actually near, shared a parking lot with an elementary school. And those kids were like, they were just making kid noises, but there were always kids, on bikes and skateboards and kids running around and a lot of young families in the neighborhood. I just kind of reached a point where I felt like I'd spent enough time living near young families and so, yeah, I do recommend it. I actually, I moved in here the month after I turned 55. Like, I really couldn't wait for one of those, you kids get off the grass kind of neighborhoods. So, I consider it a perk. it's, it's a privilege to be able to transition into that. And we actually have quite a few laws that say you can't discriminate against anybody because of their age, and they're one of the few areas where you can still kind of sort people out. And I don't think it's good to exclude anybody, but I think there was some benefit in having housing that was tailored to particular age groups being able to live. And back, 30 years ago, I lived in apartment complexes where one building would be kind of young families, the other might be more adults, and the management would sort that out. And then the laws changed so that they couldn't say, well, we don't have an apartment for you now. So if there was an open apartment, they had to rent it to whoever came in, and they didn't really sort out, like, these are students and these are adults. But, of course, there were some landlords who would use that to discriminate in other ways that were unlawful. So eventually, being able to rent your apartment to a particular type of household that was the same type of household as other people in that building, that became something that landlords couldn't do under under the law. We've got a lot of laws that don't make that much sense in practice. Witness, my goodness, that I thought about doing that for a minute after I got divorced and things were tight, and there was an opening, and it was the building I lived in, and I was in a unit in the building, and they had this job opening for a building manager, and I had actually lived in the building before I got married, and then had a chance to move back into an apartment in it, and so I would have gotten free rent, and then, you've got to do all the building manager stuff, like, not maintenance, but I would have had to collect rent and deal with tenants who were noise complaints and stuff like that. And it was a really nice building with a pretty nice group of people. There wasn't much trouble. But they wanted me to move into the manager's apartment, and I just really liked the apartment that I was in. The manager's apartment was ground level, and I like to live where somebody can't climb in my window. So and then I was finding out, more about what the job entailed, and eventually just went, yeah, I don't think I'm really temperamentally suited for this, and I didn't really want to have to move, and but just looking at all the things that they had to deal with, and then all hours of the night, all kinds of crazy stuff. And a few months later, they had had some tenants turn over and had things just kind of crazy stuff going on, and I was always glad I didn't take the job. Because it was also, I think they wanted me to sign a contract, like an employment contract. So that meant I would have had to remain in the building, and Oh, I count on you guys to throw up a new topic when I start rambling. Yeah. So, what else? Maya. Is Maya still here? We lose her? I also picked up a handful of new watercolor pencils. They're the Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer, the artist grade ones. And I had kind of a standard set of 48 watercolor pencils, so there weren't any really lovely tertiary earthy colors. So I filled in a few of those. Yeah, check out these. Aren't these lovely? I just filled in with some dark indigo and a gray, and this color's called nougat, earth green, and this olive green, yellowish, dark sepia, and a gold color. Oh, dark Naples ochre. So, yeah, aren't they? I already made a few blanks with them, so these just lovely earthy colors. And I really like how quickly the pigment dissolves. It just like, probably like it's not a huge difference, but it's a little bit different. And it seems like there's a lot more pigment in the lead too when you put the water on it after I scribbled down. And I get a little bit more pigment out of it that flows across the surface really beautifully. So they were over $3 a piece, so it was I mean, $10 worth of pencils. Yikes. And of course there were quite a few that just looking at the display, of course, I don't know how many were in there, maybe 100 or 90. So, oh, I'm laughing. You know how it goes. I'll be down there with my $3 in hand. But I had done a color chart and was looking at it and saw things like, every media I have, I struggle to get like a good assortment of reds, but the purples, like, that's not a range. So clearly I need to go buy more purple pencils. I mean, of course, right? I think there's a couple on this sheet too, but yeah. So Maya's saying that the standard colors and sets are often not useful for anything. I mean, it's kind of like the 48 color set of Crayolas, right? They're all very much primary colors. And I mean, I'm not really a sky blue, sunshine yellow, fire engine red kind of artist. So anyway, I had done this and went, all right, I just didn't have anything that looked like it was good for landscapes. So, and the greens they're very heavy on neutral greens and blue greens. So when I could see them all out, then I knew that I needed to fill in with some yellow greens and some good earthy colors. It's kind of funny because, like, as a young artist, I would look at umber and sepia and the browns, Van Dyke brown, and just feel kind of oppressed by them. I just wanted bright colors. And now, as a more mature artist, I really seek out the sort of landscape colors. These earthy, natural colors are much more appealing than bright primaries. It's interesting how we evolve as artists. Yeah, if I could just find a lovely brick red. Instead of, I was trying to get the red put down on this last night and not have it look like a big blood stain or a crime scene. So, it's sort of the trouble with a lot of reds. You get them on the paper and it just looks like there was some sort of tragedy that happened right there. Yeah, hi Sophia. Hello. It's good to see you. Yeah, I was using sepia quite a lot in the last couple of weeks. So this was the background that I prepared on my last live stream. Wouldn't a dash of umber with a darker red work for brick red? Yes. Yes. But then I would have an excuse to go buy Venetian red, which is not quite brick red, but a lovely red. But yeah, you were correct. Yeah, I saw a short the other day that was talking about Payne's Gray and how you could mix it using, I think yellow ochre, Prussian blue, and Crimson Lake for the traditional way that Payne himself mixed grays. And of course I immediately went to my paint box and found 2 of the 3 and then thought, okay, I just need to go buy that other one. And I went, okay, might as well just buy a tube of Payne's Gray. Which I actually probably have in the, the container of reserve watercolor paints. Oh. I know. I appreciate the suggestion, though. Yeah. Did you say? Let me look at it again. Umber. Yeah. It's very easy for me to fall into an acquisition phase instead of a producing art phase, where it just it's almost like it's a separate hobby to go shag down this, that, or the other thing. And I am, it's not a struggle exactly or a challenge. I'm just trying to keep myself in hand and really stick to producing artwork. And I know I've mentioned it 5,000 times, but so you guys know, I also am a quilt maker. And one of the aspects of quilting, if you watch any quilting videos, you can actually just search and find people who do nothing but talk about their stash, their fabric stash. And I have seen quilters who will go years without making a quilt, but they'll still be in that acquisition phase where they're out buying fabric, maybe by the quarter yard at a time, but it stacks up. And I think it's a bit of a pitfall that we can get into, just amassing our art supplies or the materials for our craft or hobby. And I know I certainly have done that as a quilter. It's just like you might not know what design, you might have, a sore shoulder, you don't really want to sew, you don't have the pattern picked out. And it's really very easy to go to the store and buy fabric. And I turned myself into a really good shopper of fabric. So I joke about it and I say, well, I'm on fabric probation. I'm not allowed to buy fabric right now. I put myself on it, so, it's not punishment really, but it's fully Gollum-y. My precious art supply. Indeed, indeed. And I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying I just want to balance it. I had been in such an acquisition phase that it just was impinging on my living space with all of the material. And I mean, right now I've got a room that's just dedicated to housing the fabric supply. And of course, the more magazines you buy, the more books you buy, the more videos you watch or TV programs you watch, the more it just drives the consumer side of crafting. So I'm just trying to find the balance where I'm inspired. You do need to resupply yourself, and buying some new materials is it's not a high crime. But I want to be more balanced so that I'm producing as well as resupplying. And really all it takes is just changing the mindset a little bit, just to be aware and to keep things in balance, I guess, is not really more complicated than that. But yeah, do you guys run into this, like, wanting to keep stuff instead of use it? Like, that's a little, I find that's a bit of a challenge for me too. Okay. So, Mockmere is still not. You're not yet on fabric probation. Yeah, I think expand my mindset on the fabric because oh, not even kidding. I have enough fabric to do 30 quilts easy. That's a lot of quilts because I like to hand quilt them, so that takes time. And I like to make them queen size, so that's a lot of quilt to hand quilt. So I think I need to expand the things that I make with the fabric. And I love making tote bags. I made quite a few shopping bags and totes. And they're pretty fun. And quilting fabric is usually the stuff I buy. We buy what we like, right? So it's got cool patterns and cool colors and over the years I've made these totes and then gifted them to people, and I've had a couple that have been so well loved. The person has said, "Would you please reinforce the handle or replace the handle or sew a patch on the bottom of it?" Because they've actually used them, and that's always just wonderful if something you make gets used. I think that's quite a compliment when somebody actually puts it to use. Anyway, if anybody has any tips on other fabric-y kind of things you like to make that people like to receive as gifts, I'd love it if you'd drop a comment or, yeah. Okay. Maya, is that TIFF 420? And I'm not sure I know. Do I know Joe? They're going to do a left-hand painting stream later today. Yeah, do you guys have a... Are you going to paint trees, or do you know what you're going to... What's 2 detective coat and a cape? Alright, is that a dog or a child? Okay. Cricket Cinema. Hello. Are you up early or up late? It's lovely to see you. Okay. Alrighty. That's... I was gonna say that Cricket Cinema says he gets up at 4 o'clock for work, which seems kind of brutal. And then I did the math on it. Like, I bet you get off early, so that's kind of nice. So, start early, finish early. back when I was a kid, working summers, I always tried to get graveyard shift. I just, I like that. And in the summer, graveyard shift was always nice and cool. Day shift was just a sweat fest. Mm. Oh, nice. Sophia says she likes to make practical pillows that you can travel with so you can have a piece of home with you without the hassle. Oh, Cricket Cinema likes getting up early. Maya got up at 4:30 for no damn reason whatsoever. I don't know about you people. Although I'm I find, I was just thinking about this a couple of days ago that I realize I get up pretty early, and every once in a while I find I'm thinking about going to bed at the 8:30 hour, and I've all of my life just been an owl. I really have a hard time waking up. Takes me a long time to get awake in the and I don't know if any of you are the kind of people that just your alarm goes off and you're wide awake ready to go. But there are people like that in the world. I am not one of them. But I have become a person who's been getting up in the 6 o'clock hour, and I'm outraged by that because there's no reason to. But um, there's sort of a peacefulness about from the 5:30 to 7ish a.m. that I never really availed myself of being awake during those hours. And I used to joke that I get up at 10:30 and I'm not awake until 10:30. It doesn't matter when I get out of bed and start driving or doing stuff. I'm not ready to do any kind of task that requires any mental sharpness until about 10:30. But that has finally started to shift. There's the kind of the thought that older people do turn into earlier risers, and it's finally started to happen. And I mean, usually what I'm doing at that hour is it's not intellectual work, it's creative work, which uses certainly a different part of the brain. But I guess if I maybe live another 30 years, I might turn into a morning person. Maybe take a little while. Yeah, Sophia, I think that's where I'm at. Like, it's very peaceful, and I like the way the light, as the sun comes up and the light starts to come up. I don't really love the bright light of midday. And I like that quietness before people start driving around and making a racket. Ah, see, it's kind of good. Witness says my mind is best for working around 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. Always been that way. Yeah, when I started at I I was going to take a year off between high school and college, and I ended up at the community college. And I took night classes. I was still working nights well into the fall. And so I would sleep during the day, and then I'd have a night class that started 7 to 10 p.m. So, So you did have time change in Europe. I thought you guys did. So we're still on. I think we do a time change this coming weekend. Nice. I ran into Traveltology the other night and they were saying they were 8 hours different, and I thought, because I think Traveltology is in Belgium, and I was like, that's not right, because Belgium and England are an hour apart, so yeah. So, are any of you interested in doing a knit along? I'm gonna choose a hat pattern. Actually, I probably won't use a pattern. I'll probably tell you to get 130 yards of worsted weight yarn and cast on 65 or 70 stitches on size 7 or 8 needles. Then we're going to do a 3x2 rib with a simple knit two together, and then at the very crown of the, or the very top of the beanie, do a 2x2 or 2x1 rib. And so that the pattern will be just like very simple. Oh man, old jeans. Cricket Cinema says he has a pillow he made from old jeans in the car to hold the computer. Yeah, I got a stash of old jeans. I was gonna make a, I mean, we can all just be knitting a hat while I do a live stream. No, no, you don't have to knit. I will be knitting, so you can chat and. Well, Raoul Reynolds, I was just thinking about you yesterday, and it is lovely to see you. Oh, oh gosh. Well, you've been in my thoughts, so it's very nice to see you. And neuropathy. Are you diabetic? You don't have to answer that if you don't want to. Like, I know it's a personal question, but I am diabetic, and I also have neuropathy because I've been diabetic for many, many years. And in the United States, we can get a a health supplement. It's called alpha lipoic acid. And if you take 600 milligrams a day for about 30 days or so, it can help replenish the myelin sheath that's on your nerves. And it worked very, very well for me. I took gabapentin for many years, and it really didn't help with the pain very much. And my doctor said, it might help with the pain, but it will not heal your nerves. It doesn't heal your nerves at all. Alpha lipoic acid can give you the nutrients for your body to replenish that myelin sheath. And when you can get your nerves remyelinated, it's like the insulation that keeps them from getting kind of crossed and having that burning, stabbing, buzzing, any of that kind of. If you've got neuropathy going on, you already know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it worked quite well. And so now I will take it for probably a week or 2 weeks at a time if I start having symptoms come back. But it worked remarkably well. And I know that you're in Europe, and it may be, I don't know if it's going to be available where you live, but if you can go to a health food store, if you can find that, it was pretty reasonably priced, and it was just, it worked very, very well. And I'm not a person for hokey plant medicine and herbs and, that kind of woo-woo stuff. But I was kind of at my wit's end because the burning in the feet is so relentless. And this doctor I had was very medically trained. She wasn't too out there, and she kept bringing this up, and I finally just went, okay, fine, I'll try it. I got to the point where the pain was keeping me awake at night. I couldn't sleep, and it was really miserable. So I thought, well, what is it? Just, something sell at the, yeah, they sold it at the health food store, and I thought, well, okay, fine, I'll try it. I don't like that kind of hippie medicine because I think most of it's kind of a load of horse crap, I think is a simple way to say it. I think a lot of that stuff is just meh. And I did a little research and saw that there was university studies, and they had looked at the effective dose, which is why I say 600 milligrams. That was what the study showed. And I was absolutely flabbergasted at how well it works. I don't have that burning, stabbing, yeah. Yeah, I use some of it, but I just I don't think of it as being the kind of thing that's really going to be a cure-all. And I also was really needed to cut down any medication that I didn't absolutely need to have because of my cardiac symptoms. I just was taking a bunch of this and that for, I'm diabetic, and I've got heart disease and high blood pressure and fibromyalgia and 27,000 other things that you guys don't even want to hear about, I'm sure. And I knew that the gabapentin was it was a medication they started to give people when they started to cut back on prescribing opiates here in the United States. And I never really felt like it relieved the pain very much. And it's the kind of thing, if you take it for a while and then you try to get off of it, it can be a little bit challenging to get off of it. And I just thought, stuff isn't really doing any good. And I didn't notice any difference after I stopped taking it, quite frankly. So I don't know if they just think it's going to be a placebo effect, kind of a medicine. Oh, we'll give you some of this and shuffle you out of the office, or what the heck. And I've never really talked to anybody who's taken gabapentin who's just been, yeah, it's been a lifesaver. It really made a difference. Oh, Sophia, I am the complete poo-poo platter. Yeah. Um, I forget sometimes, like, I'll be, like, I just go along with it. I've lived with chronic pain. I've had reactive arthritis since my early 20s. And so I've just dealt with having chronic health conditions. And when I first was diagnosed with arthritis, it was in my shoulders. And I used to ski quite avidly. I was on the college ski team. And my doctor said, "You're going to have to stop skiing." And I said, "But why?" And yeah, my, yep, it is. Raoul, I have to read that. In a perfect world, I just wish there was more peace, less pain, and more love. Being human is not an easy thing, especially being human with health struggles and health scares. Yep. Gout. Raoul. Those aren't fun ones. You need to pick other ones that are. That's really awful. Gout 3 times in a row, and that's so. My mom had gout so much. Her diet was just exactly the things that they say don't eat. Digestive problems, cancer, thrombosis, bronchitis, asthma, and many more. You're you're in good company, my friend. I'm so sorry. Anyway, so back to the thing. So I was skiing, and I said, "Why can't I ski?" And he said, "Every time you pole plant, every time you stab that pole in, what you do, you plant the pole and you turn around it." He said, "You're just tearing up your shoulders." And I kind of went, "Huh, okay, all right, thank you." And then it wasn't really that hard because when I learned to ski, I didn't use poles when I was learning to ski, so I just stopped using poles. And then eventually my doctor found out I was still skiing and was just like, "I told you can't do that." And I said, "No, you told me pole plant was going to be the part of it that was going to hurt me." And so I just stopped skiing with poles. He just, uh, I'm not an easy patient. Oh, witness. They told you to stop running because of your knees and hips. Okay. So what you can do there, same. So I switched to riding a bicycle. I got a bike that's kind of a hybrid street bike, mountain bike. You can go all over the place, um, and it's basically no impact, right? You can also swim, but I will say, like swimming today in the pools with the chemicals and the kids, eh. But yeah, but you could definitely switch to like hiking where you're going over different terrain. If you've got knees and hips, like it can be repetitive motion. So if you're walking on like a paved path in a park, that can still sort of tear up your joints. But if you're walking on an uneven surface, you're using different muscles, and it's actually, you might be able to get some more miles out of yourself by walking like hiking trails. And yeah, but no, bicycling, because you can go like you can ride really fast, and then you've got the wind passing over you and you're covering ground and it feels quite good, and you can get very strong. When I was in law school, I was biking probably 75 or 100 miles a week. I would just go out on the weekends and just grind out this huge loop out into the county, and um, so Sophia says that she's allergic to most insects. Um, when I lived in Alaska, there were a lot of mosquitoes up there, and somebody who lived up there said just to eat a banana every day. The potassium is something that your body will process, and it changes something. Maybe it makes you smell a little different, and the mosquitoes will leave you alone. And I used to go running with my roommate, and he would cover himself in DEET, insect spray, and we would go out, and they would just swarm in a cloud around him, and they would leave me alone. It, it seemed to work, so eat a half a banana a day. And when you say like your skin is sensitive, I wonder if it's like, do you think it might be photosensitive, meaning you're more likely to get a little bit sunburned? And here's a weird little story. I used to drink Earl Grey tea, but I don't drink it in the summer because bergamot can make you photosensitive, meaning you are more likely to get sunburned. So if you're an Earl Grey tea drinker, yeah. Okay, so maybe take a potassium supplement. Yeah, I don't like bananas when they're ripe. I only like them when they're pretty green. So, are we just picky llamas? Chocolate tea. What is this chocolate tea? Right? Me too. Okay, so Raul says he loves fried ripe plantain, yummy with Cuban rice. I know, they're like bananas, but not sweet. They're perfect. I wonder if plantains have high potassium. They might. Interesting. So Sophia says that she does not burn easily and is a ginger, which is that's a tricky thing to pull off there, sister. Um, yeah, I don't usually burn. I'm really like you can see I'm pretty white. Um, I usually don't really tan, don't really burn. It takes a lot. Kind of the only time I ever got tan in my life was the summer I spent in Fort Knox, Kentucky, because we were out in the sun every day, pretty much sun up to sundown for 8 weeks. And I came back with the most ferocious farmer tan you've ever seen. Do you guys know what a farmer tan is? It's kind of an American thing. Oh, is Witness? Oh, Witness, it was lovely to have you in chat. Thanks for coming in and hanging out with us. And I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try that trick you suggested. Oh, Rooibos. I can't do that. Organic chocolate, Rooibos vanilla tea. English Tea Shop is the brand. There's something about Rooibos that is um I just I don't do hibiscus either. Or cilantro. Cilantro tastes like soap to me. I'm for, there's a bunch of things I'm not supposed to be doing in the 6 months after my heart procedure, and one of the things, like I'm not supposed to have coffee, not even decaf coffee. So, now I've just come to 6 months, so I don't know. When I see my cardiologist, I'm gonna ask if I can. He's probably gonna go, well, these are the things that led you to have a heart procedure, so why would you do them? But I'm hoping I will at least be allowed to have decaf coffee again. And I don't drink it black. I like it with. I like it with cream, which is again, not super heart healthy. But one of my favorite things to do if I don't, because I don't, I'll have cream if I'm out in a restaurant or getting coffee out. But at home, don't. I don't keep cream because I don't really do dairy. And but what I do keep on hand is hot cocoa mix. So I will use some of that in my coffee, so it makes sort of a mocha. And I'm looking for it. I hope I'll be able to do that again, because that's a lovely way to start the day with just a mug of chocolatey coffee. Ah, nice. That is a beautiful combination, Sophia. I I was doing some genealogy earlier this year because I was hunting for the alleged Native American relative somewhere up in the family tree. Didn't find her, but that branch of the family, I didn't get very far with it. But my dad gets very tan, but he and I both have some characteristics that you see with Native Americans. Like I don't have, there's no body hair, and that's something Native Americans have kind of sparse beards, and I don't have a beard. My dad has a sparse beard, and it's alleged that somewhere up his family tree we might have a Native American ancestor, which would explain the not burning. My mom is from very English stock, and if she even looked at the sun, she'd turn into a, human lobster. So I think it's going to take one of those genetic tests for me to really get to the bottom of it, because there were a couple of spots in the family tree where one of my grandmothers had uh, three husbands, I think. And my dad has a half sister who has a half brother, so we're not blood related. We just call him my dad's half sister's half brother. It gets a little complicated. You're trying to sort all that stuff out, so. And my dad, uh, he doesn't look like his siblings at all. And they're just different coloring, different face shape, different hair color, and so. And I've talked to my aunts about it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, there were like 3 years we didn't know. My dad and his sisters were all in foster care because their mom just disappeared, and no one kind of knew where she was for about 3 years." So, and I know one time my aunt asked her about it in front of us, and my grandmother said, "Well, what makes you think that's any of your business?" It's just she wasn't real forthcoming with some of those things. So I think it was kind of a wild time in America then. Anyway, so it's my point is that it's a little hard to find out what family stories are if you have ancestors who were unwilling to tell the stories, you know. And sometimes I think, maybe one of those 23andMe genealogy tests might give some of the answers that grandma and great grandma were unwilling to provide. Or maybe they couldn't provide it. We we really don't know what goes on in everybody's lives. Exactly, Cricket Cinema. Yeah, and I wouldn't accept. See, my grandmother was living in rural Washington, very near Indian reservations, and was associating. So, Rabbit, did you change your name? Is this a new nick for you? Yeah, I call it white, white, butt white. Yeah. Yeah. So, and also, if you saw my dad, like he's Leonard Peltier. Yeah. Oh, weren't we talking about this the other night? And the wonderful records of the Catholic Church for baptism, and especially you get up into French Canada. And I had a line of family that went right up there, and was able to trace it back on that side. And I've got a feeling once I get to the DNA test, I'm gonna find out that my dad is a half sibling to that he probably doesn't have the same father as my aunts have. So, okay. Oh, Rabbit. As soon as you said that, I went, oh, okay. I never thought of it before, and I'm sorry that people did that to you. I'm glad that you have a name that you're a nickname that you're happier with. Wait, a Namibian half uncle. Well, that's interesting. Namibia is yes, cricket cinema. Yep. Oh, Maya, yeah, don't make her explain it. You can ask me an email. Maya's first language is Norwegian, so yeah. I try to protect her from all of her goofy American ways of harassing each other. But it's lovely to see you. It's been yeah. I had a couple of live streams, and I think I'm finally getting enough live streams now. Like we'll have some where there'll be just different groups of people, and I'm just delighted to see all of you. Oh, our grandparents, Sophia, golly, they must have had fun in the yeah 1920s and 30s. I don't know. In between two world wars, I mean, I think people were just like living life. Like I think they had an acute sense that it was precious and limited and could be jeopardized at the whim of these these politicians and leaders and not I'm not saying that we should have wars so that we live life with more gusto, but I mean, I don't know, it's a different time. Well, I don't blame you, Randy. I got I got bullied and teased about my name. Um, as a kid, and you know, I think a lot of kids get that. Maybe not all kids, but it just depends on your bully. Well, thank you. You know, it's funny. I always wanted a nickname, and you should be able to make a couple of nicknames out of my name, but I never could just. Never had. You know, and you can't really give yourself a nickname. Your friends have to start calling you by the nickname for you to really earn a good nickname. And I did get called Nell for a little while, and then we had a show called Little House on the Prairie in America, and there was a really bratty, bully, nasty character on there, Nellie Olson. So then I was like, yeah, I don't want that nickname. I think I gotta tell you guys, I felt like for a while here I was not gonna outline. There's a lot of pebbles to outline on this one. It's a bigger format than I usually work with. Nelly, that's a cute name for a dog. I like that. What is reverse coloring? No way, Cricket Cinema. Really? Oh, because she's got to be, like, she's my age. She's got to be, like, 60 something now. That's wild. Cricket Cinema says he saw the actor that played Nellie Olson do stand up in Provincetown a few years ago, and she was really funny. Rabbit says, people are just rude. they, they sure fucking are sometimes. Oh, I almost made it 2 hours without dropping an F-bomb. So it has a page of color on it, and you make the design. You know what that reminds me of? We used to do this thing in grade school where we would scribble on a piece of, like, probably cardstock with all these different colors, and then we would put a layer of black tempera paint on it and let it dry, and then you would scratch through the tempera paint, and it would reveal, like, the rainbow colors behind it. That was so magical. I wonder if I could. I wonder if there's an adult version of it. Just screw it. Maybe just do the kid version of it. It was pretty fun. It was tempera paint, right? Yeah, tempera paint, maybe? Oh, the neurographic stuff. Are you talking about, when you talk about neurographic, do you mean the one where you put the squiggles and then you fill in everything to V, you fill it in and make it curved, and then you paint in the areas? I was thinking about doing some. I got a new. Let's finish the sentence before we start another one. I was thinking about doing some of those. I thought you guys might be a little bit bored with the pebbles, but I got a new. I went art supply shopping, and look at this 4x8 inch. Like, it's perfect, the perfect size for this. And it's 30 pages. It was only like, it wasn't even $7. So, and nice 140 pound. It's pretty heavy. And it's cold press, which I like because it's got the little bumps in it. So I was thinking maybe to do some of that neurographic stuff. Yes, perfect. Randy says, there's much more to it. You can really get into it with intention and meditation and not just squiggly lines. So it's intense if you want to use it for helping your mind. Yes. Andrea Nelson, do you follow her? She does, she's got, I follow her on Instagram. I like her Instagram reels more than I like her YouTube stuff. It's a little bit different. She's got kind of a snappier format over on Instagram, but she does quite a bit of stuff that's fairly simple. Thank you, Cricket Cinema. I'll have to look into that more. I've seen a little bit of it, and I've done a little bit of it, and it was what inspired these pebble drawings, because they really are. I know today I was really chatty, and I keep I keep stopping and looking at the chat. So it's not much of a mindfulness exercise. Sometimes it is, sometimes sometimes it's the benefit is just chatting with people and socializing. That's also important to do. Have a little social contact. But these pebble drawings are meant to be a mindfulness exercise in that same way, where you're concentrating on where the pen or where the pencil is contacting the paper and trying to be in the moment, trying to just have the attention right here. Helps make the world feel a little bit smaller and more manageable. Let's get after this with some water before I move on to the next color, I think. Yeah. I'm still really enjoying these, and they do tend to be each one a little bit different. I guess I fuss sometimes that I might be boring you guys with the, always just drawing pebbles. That might be my worry and not a problem. Sophia, are you using colored paper that you're stacking and then having it intentionally bleed through to see the patterns? Or is this like a watermark? Pavel Piskarev, Russian psychologist, artist, and architect. I know I can. I am ADD as well as autistic, so the autistic part of me loves the predictability and the routine, but the ADD part of me just gets bored, and it is a novelty-seeking SOB. So. Cricket Cinema, thank you. That is, I agree that the chat is pretty damn special here. And I really appreciate it so much. And when I think about what's gone on with this channel, that is one of the things that, if I could figure out a different way to say this or a different word, but I'm proud of the way that the chat has gone. And I really am very, I have positive, happy feelings about that. And it's a little bit weird to say, I'm proud of it, because you guys are what make it happen. It's not, I'm just providing the space for it. And so, awkwardly expressed, but yeah. Yeah, so Brandy, you know what I mean? It's novelty is quite good, and it's actually trying new things is really good for us psychologically. Even if we try something and we don't like it, experiencing novelty helps beat depression. And so I used to take antidepressants, and they stopped working for me, which they do for about a third of the people who take them. A third of the people take antidepressants, they work well, they keep working well. About a third of the people, they don't really work that well. And for another third of us, they work well for a time, and then they stop being effective. So when that happened, and I finally got off the antidepressants, I had to find things to do to help treat the depression. And one of the little tricks is to do something that's new. A novelty having a novel sensory experience is something that just changes your brain chemistry a little bit. And with depression, you just have to find, 75 things that each do a little bit. So one of the easy ways to do that is to try a new food. And for a while, I would try a new candy, like go to the hard candy bins and just buy something that I had never had before. And it doesn't matter if you like it. It just matters that you do something new. And when you do something new, it just triggers parts of your brain that don't get used otherwise. So if you eat a piece of candy and you go, my gosh, that's sour and I hate the flavor, and like I don't ever want to have jalapeno saltwater taffy again in my life. It was horrible. It was disgusting. But giving it a try was the depression buster. So, alrighty. Gonna catch up on chat here too. Okay, cool. Alright, you guys are telling me you're cool. You just like to watch something get made on a nice piece of paper. Me too. Alrighty. Yeah, Sophia, that's what I try to have. I don't. I kind of spend the day ranting about the stuff that's been pissing me off, and then I try to come here and just have it be cool, have it be calm. Yeah. Okay. It's okay, Rabbit. We're patient. You take the time you need. Yeah, it's a little bit of, I mean, I still feel like quite a beginner, so I get all thinky about it, right? And I think, if I change it up, what'll happen? Will people just go, yep, scroll? Or, and then, so I worry and I fuss about it, and then I tell myself, just let it be. Everything will work out. You guys come here because you like spending a little time with me and because you like hanging out with each other. And I finally just came to the conclusion that that's what's important. It really probably isn't that important what I'm working on. And like tonight, I was, I wanted to get those colors put into the color chart, and I thought, is anybody gonna do it? And I almost didn't, and I thought, what the heck, we'll see, because I have done it before, and actually it doesn't do much differently from doing pebbles. So I think I'm gradually learning that the important part of what's going on my channel is that it's creating a space for that chat magic to happen. And frankly, that's much more important to me, that people are connecting and having a positive time hanging out. I really don't care if anybody ever, picks up a piece of paper and draws rocks on it, but I do care if you guys make connection and go away from this feeling better. Oh, pearls was, I studied that in college. Wasn't he like a really humanistic psychologist? The whole of the thing is more than the sum of its parts kind of a thinking, if I recall correctly. Yeah. The only thing I'm not loving about these pencils is that they've got the names are stamped in with a metallic, and it's really hard to see. This one's green gold. Liking that a lot. This is Nougat. Not a great color name, Nougat. Oh, that's right. You do your thing and I'll do mine. And if by chance we find each other, that is beautiful. Hmm. Okay, I gotta admit, this might be worth 335. They go on so much more smoothly than the student grade color. Thank you for the thank you for the affirmation there, Maya. You are always just every time I'm like, hmm. Maya says yes. Faber-Castell do the gold printing. Really annoying. It is hard. You've got to like hold the pencil and twist it. And I know they just want to make it look like it's worth $3.35 with that fancy silver embossing, but my old eyes would prefer just white or black. That'd be fine. And it just, as soon as the water hits it, it's liquefied. Um, Again, these are pretty subtle differences. Like as a student or beginner, you probably wouldn't notice if you weren't working with it quite a lot. Yeah, it's doing just what I want it to do. I couldn't find Caran D'Ache in stock in town. This was the only brand I could find with open stock where I didn't have to buy the whole set of pencils. And you know I'm conflicted because I wanted to get the ones that were in the same colorways as the Neocolors, but I could see where this is going. Yep. Yeah. I was on an autism channel and we were talking in the comments about things, and we agreed that we don't want Amazon. We want a website where we could buy the same thing we always bought in the same colors. Like that shirt that we found in that cut that was okay, and the seams didn't, like, I'll tell you what, if I was selling clothes to autistic people, I would design clothes where the seams were to the outside, where you would put the smooth side on. And in my house, um I often wear my shirts inside out just because the tags and the seams are so annoying. And I don't know why we can't just make shirts that are made that way so that we could always be happy and not be irritated by the way our clothes were. Like, why do the seams have to be so scratchy? And I know it's not just me, because I talk to other autistic people and they're like, oh yeah, that sucks. That sucks. Anyway, if we could just have like something like Amazon, but for autistic people, where the flavor would never change on the foods that we like. The ingredients would always be like, it doesn't change Amazon, that place. Anyway, I would sell colored pencils that were just like this, but it would be black ink, and then the dark ones would have white ink in nice big font that was clear. All right, Randy, it was lovely to see you again. Thanks for coming in and sharing, and I hope we'll see you again soon. I know Raul said he had to go and be right back, so I hope he's gonna be doing okay. It is a struggle. Life is, sometimes it just feels like it's challenge after challenge after challenge. And you're not alone. Sophia, I feel you there. Sophia says, I actually blended up food because I just can't do the in-between texture. I'm the ADD part of me likes new things, and so I am willing to try new stuff. But that is something that I've grown into, because as a child, I was uh, I was called a picky eater. It wasn't a picky. It wasn't. Those textures and tastes are really, they're big. Those feelings are really big. And sometimes a texture or a flavor can just be so loud that you can't. It it's just absolutely dysregulating to the nervous system for some of us. Um, I know when I was a child, I couldn't tolerate mustard at all. It just felt like it was burning a hole through my tongue. And, I would tell my mom, and my mom would go, well, I'm not, you know, to me, my thinking was it's less work for you not to put mustard on my sandwich. And my mom would say, I'm just making everybody sandwiches, just shut up and eat it. But not that nice. And, um, but as a kid, it was so strong. The flavor was, and now I like mustard. Oh, and onions. I couldn't eat onions as a kid. They were. I did okay with garlic, but my mom would chop up onions so fine and she'd mix them in meatloaf, and I could sort those things out and spit them out like nobody's business, which was a source of a lot of conflict at meal times because my mom and dad liked onions, and I think also in the 1960s onions were they were used a lot to extend food, and so my mom was just trying to, get dinner to stretch to feed all of us. And same with mushrooms, man. Sure, if you have a meat sandwich, my mom would make sandwiches with mayonnaise and mustard and meat, cheese, bread. And she'd usually butter the bread before she put the mayonnaise on it too. Which I have come to find when I tell people that, they go, you butter? Uh, Nobody apparently puts butter on their sandwiches. Yeah. What do you put mustard on? You don't put mustard on your sandwiches? But fortunately, like I outgrew I think mushrooms, the texture was just weird and the flavor was sort of inexplicable to me as a kid. I didn't quite understand mushrooms. No, I love them. It's one of my like sautéed mushrooms. Oh, delicious. And I thought I was, pretty open to different foods, and then I started to take day trips with a friend. I had a fellow that I was dating for a while, and we would take day trips, and very often we'd try a new restaurant when we were out and about, and I would have a really hard time finding something on the menu that I was willing to eat. And of course, super polite guy that he was, he'd always point it out and make a big deal about it, which is why he's not my boyfriend. One of 8,000 reasons. I really, just. This color is so beautiful. You put mustard in stews? And on hot dogs, yeah. Hmm, that's interesting. I think I would add mustard like if I was making a beef based gravy. It does make the flavor a little more complex, but I don't know. Um, I don't know if I've ever put mustard in a soup or stew. Yeah. Yeah, so now I'm curious about what kind of mustard you have in Norway, because mustard is Um, so Maya's asking, when you say sandwich, do you mean it's heated up so the cheese melts? No. The, uh, we would mostly have like a cold sandwich at lunchtime. So it's usually untoasted bread. Although now that I'm, grown up making my own damn sandwiches, I like to toast the bread, and I like to put avocado, tomato. Um, I keep I buy a salad mix that's got lettuces and all kinds of vegetables and stuff all kind of mixed together, and I'll just take a handful of that and put that on my sandwich. Um, I mean, sometimes, yeah. Especially if you're gonna do like we do a grilled cheese sandwich kind of thing here. I bet it's so delicious. I can't imagine why anybody around the world wouldn't like a toasted cheese sandwich. But generally, a sandwich is a cold. It's a cold, sad thing. Yeah. So, if I was making a sandwich to take with me, I wouldn't toast the bread. It would just come out of the bag, and then um, I I did get brought up by somebody who buttered the bread, and the reasoning is if you put the layer of butter on, it keeps the mayonnaise and everything from soaking into the bread. So, um, I've told people that I do that, and in fact, I've made sandwiches, and people have just looked at it and just been kind of giving me a horrified expression for that. There's fat in that. There's fat in the mayonnaise. You don't need double the fat. And it's like, no, it keeps everything from soaking into the bread and making the bread all soggy. And then you stack everything on top of that. And but if I'm gonna make a sandwich to eat at home, you know, I will toast the bread, butter the toast, and then put the stuff together. And yeah, yeah. Um, I remember the summer I was in Europe that we could get something that was like brioche, open face, with a mix of cheeses on it. And in Switzerland, raclette. There was this big wheel of cheese that was in a little oven beside, like one side had a fire, like a wood fire going, and then there was an oven built beside it, and this wheel of cheese fit into it. And slide it out and then scrape the melted cheese off the top. Oh my God, was that good. And then you would scoop that out onto fresh bread. And of course, I didn't discover it until like my last afternoon in Switzerland. Had I discovered that the first day, that's all I would have eaten the whole time I was there. Yeah, raclette. Oh, it was amazing. It must have been something like Emmentaler, or like something that was just in America we get something we call Swiss cheese that is it's got a sharpness to it that reminds me of Parmesan almost. But I think in Switzerland they don't really eat Swiss cheese like what the Americans call Swiss cheese. Their cheeses were much more complex and mellow and just, yeah, Swiss cheese. I rarely buy white bread. We have a lot of varieties of bread available. I mean, in the supermarket, there's a whole aisle that is different kinds of bread. So I have one in the fridge right now. It's I think it's like 12 grain. It's sort of a brown bread, and it's got all kinds of nuts and seeds, and it's very chewy. Um, I white bread has a lot of simple carbohydrates in it, so I try to find things that are brown bread because that's got um, more fiber. So, being diabetic, a gram of fiber offsets a gram of carbohydrates. So I can take less insulin with the a type of bread that's got more. It's true. We do have a lot of artisanal stuff here in Oregon. Lots of we've got lots of agriculture for one thing, so we have really pretty good produce, especially fruit. Um, Apples, cherries, plums, peaches, nectarines, berries, blueberries, marionberries, blackberries, strawberries. Tons of microbrews for beer. Yeah. Yeah, when I was a kid, you had two choices. We had Wonder Bread, which was white, and we had wheat bread. You didn't get a lot of fancy breads, but now, lots of different breads. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's you again. What? Are you talking, kitty? Hi. You're just a lonesome Gus? Alright. Yeah. Oh, and grapes. We grow we have vineyards. Just a lot of the agricultural land that was wheat fields is now anything that's got a slope to it has been turned to vineyards, viticulture. Yeah, exactly. Come here, buddy. Oh, come on up. All right. Oh, it wants kitty snuggles. Yeah. So, do you eat a lot of rye bread in Norway too? I know they do in Sweden, like a lot of dark rye bread. Oh my goodness. I'm getting the big brumbly purrs. Rye bread has a rye is a grain, and yeah, that might help. Thanks, Sophia. Yeah, it's dark and it's very flavorful and moist. Um, I think most American bread is wheat bread, but I think in Scandinavia you grow more rye, so yeah. Oh, well, hello. Buddy. All right. We'll see if I can get the cat face. Can you show your cat face? Never liked the camera. She has always just look. There's your sweet face. They want to see you. There she is. Good job, buddy. It's only taken 3 months. We finally have kitty face. Nice. Sourdough starter with rye flour. How did it turn out? Yes, every time you guys see me picking cat hair out of the paint, this is where it comes from. This is her favorite thing. Can I have your chin? Can I have your chin? How about a chin? Chin rubs? There we go. Give me a boop. Good job. Give me a bonk. That's her tricks. Boop. And then she has one for me, which is bite. Yeah, sourdough is funny that way. It'll kind of go and just, yeah, get so tricky. My mom kept a sourdough starter going for, oh gosh, probably more than 5 years when I was a kid, and we had like everything was sourdough pancakes, sourdough biscuits, sourdough bread. Yeah, I'm confused by that. Can you? Yeah. Oh, sourdough starter. Once you get it going, and we had a little 1 gallon crock that sat on the counter with a towel and a plate over it, and my mom had it down to a science. It would be like, um, she'd pull out a cup of it for pancakes on Sunday, and then on Tuesday she'd pull out a cup of the starter, and then one day a week it would get more flour added to it. I think she used potato flour to feed it, and it was a sourdough starter that somebody had had shared with her, and it was one that had been going, back in the 70s. You would get a gift of, a cup of starter, and it would have been somebody, from somebody's grandma. So some of these sourdoughs were, decades old. Okay, that's the trick. Can we, yeah, can we know with the biting? Thank you. Get, thank you. Ah, cats. It's really just easier to let them do what they want than to argue with them. But she'll get up in the space and then she gets mad at me, and I have to remind her that it's her. Like, why are you biting me? Just get down. Yeah. Yeah. So, and the older they are, the more mellow and, I don't know. I don't know if the flavor sort of develops over the years and it gets a little bit more delicious. And I couldn't really explain how it's more delicious, but it just kind of is. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. My recollection was that um, I don't remember my mom ever discarding it. She would scoop it out and make bread with it. So she would use it down till where there was just a little bit left in the bottom of the crock, and then it would get. Did it get liquid and flour? Like it got some filtered water and some flour, and then it would bubble up. And like in the summer, um, it would go so fast, and she would just be baking bread kind of all the time. And then I don't know what happened, whether we went on vacation or she just got tired of it, or somehow it came to a very smelly end. Maya says the good thing with having a small dog is he won't get up on your tables or eat the food off the kitchen counter. Right? That's one thing. Miss Thing does not get on the counters. She never has. I just don't think it's occurred to her. I think she's certainly capable of it, but I try not to keep anything that tempts her. And usually, like I knew you guys would enjoy seeing her, so that's why I let her sit up here. But ordinarily, if she jumps up here, I immediately tell her to get down, because I don't want her up here drinking paint water and licking the palette and doing cat stuff. Um, if I could read these things. Okay, so I went with light phthalo green and phthalo green, but they just look like kind of minty green, so. And this is why I'm eating beans and rice for the last week of October, because nice pencils. Yeah. Okay, alright, so they just call it the discard. It's the part you scoop out, and you would use it. You don't, like... So when you say discard, I think throw it away, but that's not what you mean. Got it. Okay, what are you tearing up? Okay. Is that your toy you're tearing up? Alright, okay, you're good. Boy, she's being kind of a menace. Good. Okay. So, sourdough is native yeast. So it's environmental yeast, but it's still. So he can do wild yeast, but not commercial yeast. Oh, wait, I'm so sorry. I just remembered. Gosh, Sophia, I'm so sorry. Like where he is now, he can have any dang thing he wanted to have. Maya? Maya says she doesn't think she's ever tasted sourdough bread. Oh my goodness. Yes, you should try to make that happen. is my... I also got a lovely ivory. I was getting a little bit tired of the white. I thought it was just kind of harsh on some of these, so I found an ivory. No alcohol. Gosh. Oh, that lays in there so nicely. I gotta tell you, while I was standing in the art supply store and I was, scowling at the price tag on these and debating, and then I just kind of sucked it up and decided that I would go ahead and give them a try. Because, for one thing, I knew that it would be interesting, even if I bought them and they weren't too exciting. I knew that I could do a video and do a comparison of these artist grade with the student grade. And then a little part of my brain, because when you struggle with depression, it's very easy to be negative about things or to just, it's a downer. So and it turns out they're pretty good, and I've had a lot of pleasure at the art table working with these. And, with depression, it can be a little bit hard to enjoy things. Sometimes you get anhedonia, which is a inability to feel things emotionally. And not just positive things, like anhedonia can just make it so that you're really numbed out. So, it's kind of a nice surprise to be nicely surprised. That's showing up. I'll put some highlights in there nicely. Yeah. Not even sure I want to dilute this, but you know what? The lovely thing about these watercolor pencils is that you can add a little water, do a wash, and if it is too subtle, you can come back in with more layers. So this blank was pretty dark with these greens in the middle. But this ivory color is making just perfect highlights, just what I had in my mind's eye. Nice. Yeah. Oh my goodness, guys, we're coming up on 3 hours. Get that to focus. So I think we'll wrap it up here. Here's another look, a little bit of a close-up look of this guy. Yep, and we filled out the whole color chart. I think, yeah, we've got all the spaces in there. And so when those dry down, you do still get some of the texture from the crayon, which is it's kind of a nice effect. I like that. But that'll do it for this evening, I think. You know, somebody asked me that last night, and I think that there might be. Let's see, I ordered 35 and I think there's about 70 to 90. I don't think there's quite 100. So, yeah. If you really want the answer, I can quickly. Let's not put that on the internet. Yeah. Oh, okay. There might be. Because I just counted 49 quickly. And I just ordered, I think there were 35 that I ordered. 85? 85 doesn't make sense. Yeah, I don't know. I hope that I've managed to fill out the whole set. But I will, yeah, so because that's about, I think I must be missing one here. Because 49 is a strange little number. And they're rolled all over the place. But yeah, that's kind of my guess, is that somewhere in that 85. I know, exactly. That was exactly my thought. Maya said, please make sure you don't miss one in the middle, and like with her in the ink tents. And my brain immediately went there. When we were on the quest to get the full set all acquired, and then if you just are missing one, it can be pretty frustrating. So, yeah. So, alrighty. I think I've answered all your questions from chat, right? I hope, everybody. If I did miss one, know that when I stop these live streams, they immediately go to private, but the first thing I do is click over and reset them to public. So if you go to my page under the lives. It will show up, and I think you'll be able to drop a comment if there was anything that I missed. Thanks, everybody, for coming in and sharing art time with me and with each other. I really appreciate you all. Um, and yeah, it's the start of a fresh new week. We've got Halloween in the middle coming up, so I know everybody will probably be creatively making some kind of a costume or celebration or decoration. Um, and if you're not into that, take the opportunity to try some novel candy you haven't had before. Do something new. Do a little art. Do a little craft. Do a little dance. And I will see you on the next live stream. Thanks again, everybody. Bye for now.